Welcome back, rum fans. My name's Steve the Barman, and I'm here to help you on your rum journey by mainly focusing on rums under £50 in the UK. UK money, whatever that relates to in US dollars or euros or Canadian dollars or Australia or wherever in the world you are watching. 50 quid in the UK, that's the benchmark though. Today's little review and tasting is this little belter. We've got Plantation 3 Stars White Rum. And it's been a rum that I've known, used, drunk a lot of over the last, well, we were 2022 now, so at least 12, 14 years or so. Pretty much staple. I love this rum to bits. But as always, I try and come at this with unbiasedness towards it. I kind of know roughly what it tastes like. But as I keep saying, you know, this whole neat tasting and then doing this sort of comparison. So coming up at the end of the video, we've got the rum and coke, rum and ginger, we've got a daiquiri. I've done a rum fashioned, white rum fashions, crazy. And the rum punch in there. So I'll come on to that. But you know, I've never really deep dive into rums and doing tasting like this. So it's a whole new experience for me, even though I'm so familiar with this rum. So I love it. So let's crack on. Let's tell you all about Plantation 3 Stars coming straight off Plantation, because they are so open and honest. They give you lots and lots of information, all the information you could possibly wish for. So let's just pass this on. Why is it called 3 Stars first and foremost? Well, if you read the bottle, it's on there, but essentially it does refer to the 3 stars of the Caribbean: Trinidad, Jamaica and Barbados. When it comes to rums, they are 3 of the big players. So that's kind of what it's named after. It's where it gets its name from. So the Barbados, we've got twin column and pot still rum in there. Trinidad, we've got column still. And Jamaica, we've got a tiny bit of pot still rum in this. And I'm going to come on to that because that's kind of a little bit of fascinating. I've never really paid attention to that. And it kind of, my little eyes sort of lit up when I tasted it properly again, neat, which I'll come on to in a second. So aging of this, again, as I say, Plantation are very open and honest about this. The Barbados is unaged rum, essentially, so it's a blend of unaged rums. We've got Trinidad, which are 2 to 3 year old rums that have gone into here. And then we've got a blend of Jamaican unaged rum, but then also a touch of Jamaican 10-year-old. That's gone into here as well. So predominantly, not too much going on, but a little bit, a tiny little bit of this Jamaican 10-year-old going in there. Now, obviously, if you're Smuggler's Cove devotees to cocktail book, this would come under category 2, which is a blended, lightly aged rums if you're a Smuggler's Cove. But essentially, to most of us, it's a blended white rum, essentially. All right, so a bit of pot still, a bit of column still, a bit of everything going on in it. Right. Price, Master of Malt UK, $22.95. I'm really sorry if you can hear an aeroplane. I'm battling against an aeroplanes today, but £22.95p. So £23, which I think for a premium white rum is pretty damn good value for money, regardless of, because you know when you get to premium rums, they're not going to be terrible. They're not going to be absolutely terrible. So for 23 quid, I think it's pretty damn decent. So let's get on to it. Let's get on to the old nosing and everything. As always, I'm going to run you through what I picked up, and then I'm going to run you through what other people have picked up. I always use the Rum X app as the guidelines. I've spoken enough about it now. Europe, download it. It will be coming to the US and Canada, hopefully by the end of 2022. So let's go into it and we'll work through the scores. So on the nosing. So first thing we have to do is give it a colour. Oliver from Mr. Rum X. If you're watching this, I need to have a gripe with you. This came up at the weekend as well. We don't call this clear, apparently, on the Rum X app. We call it gin clear. Can we scrap the word gin, please? Can we not just call it clear or rum clear or spirit clear? Gin? Do we really want to call it gin clear? Yes, it's clear, but gin? Do we really want to call it gin? Bants. Anyway, so it is crystal clear, essentially. You know, that's what it is. So nose. What can I get on the nose? So the big three for me. I get vanilla up front, massive vanilla for me. That's the big thing on there. I've also put a little nose of citrus and plenty of tropical fruits. They are the big three for me. However, this is the interesting bit on there, because the more I was kind of nosing and putting my scores into there, and a couple of times I came back to it, a couple of little different things picked up. now I've gone down my journey, I've started to pick up the little sort of funky Jamaican in there. There's not too much. There is not too much of it in there, but there's just something at the back which I've really started. I was like, oh, I've never noticed that before. And I just think it's because I'm getting more and more used to tasting and sniffing rums, how I've picked that up. But it's just, it's there, right there at the back. So that kind of like grassy, funky ester, ripe banana. It's very, very subtle, very, very dialed back. It's not in your face at all by any stretch of the imagination. It's just right in there at the back. But the other thing I did, coming back to it as well, on like the 5th, 6th kind of nosing, I picked up a little bit of what I put down as prunes, essentially, dried plums, prunes. And I didn't pick that up first and foremost. It was only coming back to it that was like, oh, what's that? And it's just, I don't know whether it's the length of time it's just in that glass and it's opening up over sort of 5-6 minutes or so it's in there. I was like, oh, I didn't pick that up before. So that I found really interesting. I've not really noticed that before. So I'm going to give you my scores. As always, these are out of 5. The one I add in, as I always mention, is the sweetness. I like to gauge how sweet I think this is going to be, purely from the nose. So I've given sweetness levels 2 out of 5. Fruit, for me, is fruit dominant. So I've given it 3 out of 5 for there. Woody oaky notes, 1. There's not much. It's a little bit going on, but not much. Roasted, again, not much going on, so 1. Subtle floral hints, so I've given it 2. As in there's more floral hints than there is woody oaky vibes in there, so I definitely have to give that 2. Spices 1. On all that though, I still think it's quite a rounded rum, so I've given it a 3 out of 5 for roundedness. Now, other people, what have other people gone on? So I said vanilla, citrus, tropical fruits, and then when I came back to it, I got those Jamaican sort of subtle vibes and plum. That's what I got. So reading back what other people have got here. Sugarcane. Yeah, I'd agree with that. You know, I never think to put that down, but yes, I'd agree with that. Vanilla, plum. Very interesting. Plum is on there. So I went with prunes, but essentially prunes are dried plums, essentially. So plum. Lavender. I did not get, and I still do not get lavender on that at all in the slightest. Lime, again, you know, I couldn't be that specific. We have got citrus down here, and it's a citrus element to it, but I couldn't be that specific with lime. But tropical fruits, esters are on here now. Alcoholic, sweet, citrus, pungent, medicinal. I don't know what they mean by medicinal. I wouldn't class that as medicinal. I can only relate that to medicine, and it doesn't smell like medicine to me. Balanced, vegetal, and white chocolate. Again, I struggle on the vegetal, and I do not get the white chocolate on that at all. So, but that's what others have smelt on that. So, let's get on to the old tasting. What can I taste? Right, the first thing, let's just have another little sip because it's lovely, it's gorgeous. Like a lot of, this is a question I've opened out to my membership quite a few times. Should white rums be classed as neat sipping rums? Because I would quite happily sip that neat. And I think white rum doesn't get the love it deserves on that front. I think this is a very, very good sipping rum. I mean, for 20 quid, it's 23 quid, whatever it was, 22.95, 23 quid. I think it's a bargain for a sipping rum. I think it's really decent. But anyway, what can I taste? It's kind of, because it has got those 9 grams of sugar in there. I don't know whether I mentioned it, but I think I did. But if not, it's 9 grams of sugar. It's a little bit kind of got that luxurious vibe to it, like most plantation rums have, because they have got a little bit of sugar added to it. Some people will kind of say, is that smooth? I don't like to call stuff smooth because, you know, most rums are flipping smooth. It's a very, very bad rum that isn't smooth, but I would call this luxurious on the mouthfeel to that. What else do I put? Vanilla, tropical fruit. Now this is really funny. Tropical fruit right up front on the first taste. Literally right there. It's like, oh, as soon as that hits your mouth, the roof of your mouth, it just bursts of tropical fruit. But again, like the Plantation XO did in the last video, it kind of dissipates, there's a nice word, isn't it? Dissipates into a bit of wood, a bit of spice. Where else did I write down? Touch of wood, touch of oak, and spice, and that's it. But, and here it's not quite there. It was only on the aftertaste, as I said, writing down his scores. There was this little bit of, again, for me, it's actually more reminiscent of agricole this time. But that sort of, it's obviously Jamaican. That hint of estery, ripe banana sort of thing going on, it's right there at the back. Not, you know, if we're on a scale of how much is it there, if I'm saying out of 10, I'm going to say 2 out of 10. Probably not even that, 1.5, 1 to 1.5 out of 10. It's not, I'm only picking it up purely and utterly because I've got that a little bit of experience now of sipping neat rums. There is no way in the world I would have picked that up 8 to 10 months ago. Not a chance. So don't be put off by that at all. For most people, I don't think you pick it up unless you've got that experience now. And as I say, it's only through the last 8 to 10 months of sipping rums where I'm like, oh, what's that? There's different layers going on. And that's what I kind of pick up there. So, scores. Sweet. 2 out of 5. And I think that's pretty decent. 4 out of 10, 2 out of 5. I happily agree with that. I don't want to give it a half mark. I'm quite happy with a 2 out of 5 for that. Fruit, 3. Woody oaky notes 2, because I think the fruit up front is still more dominant than the wood that comes in afterwards, or the oak barrels that come in afterwards. So for me, it's still the more emphasis on the fruit side of things. So woody oaky 2, roasted 1, floral 2. And I'm only doing that because of that sort of agricole Jamaican kind of vibe going on there. Spices 2, in kind of balanced out with that sort of wood oak vibes, but still fruit heavy. And then rounded, again, I've put 3 out of 5. So other people, we've got sugarcane, balanced, sweet, flowery, yeah. I don't know, I'm not, yeah, I'll be happy with that. Agricole, a few people have put that. Dry, fruity, vanilla, complex, sandalwood. Never smell, touched, been near sandalwood as far as I'm aware, so I've no idea. Wood to me, essentially. Alcoholic, spice, grass, mineral, and floral. So there's quite a few in there. The grass, the floral, the flowery, for me, I'd probably group under that agricole. For me, I think that's kind of where it is. So I'm not disagreeing with any of that, really. I'm just saying, you know, I don't, to be that specific on sandalwood, and a few people have ticked that, I don't know. I've just said woody oaky vibe. So, just scores out of 100. This is averaged 70 on 50 reviews so far. And again, because I do love it, I've got to go at the higher end. I have to. It doesn't kind of score as high as the Plantation XO. I don't think this is excellent. I think this is a very good rum. So excellent is 90 to 99. Very good is 80 to 89. I am going at the high end of very good though. So I'm giving it an 88 out of 100. And I think that's very, very justified. I'm going to talk about other white rums, comparisons in a bit. But just before I do, in the summing up, let's get on to the old drinks, the cocktails, the mixes. Rum and Coke, brilliant. All day long. I would totally buy that for a rum and Coke. It's really delicious. Same with the rum and ginger. Again, I would totally buy that rum for rum and Coke or rum and ginger. Happy as Larry with those two. Really, really good. You know, it's kind of what it's designed for, essentially. What it's mainly designed for is the daiquiri. I'm not going to say, because you guys know, the loyal fans will know, this is not my all-star daiquiri, but it's pretty damn close to being my all-star daiquiri. It is such a good daiquiri rum. And I'll talk about my all-star daiquiri in a second, but it's so, so good. It has to, on that scores out of 100, it has to go down as an excellent daiquiri. It really, really does. You're going to struggle to really get better. But I'll talk about that in a second. The rum fashioned really surprised me. I wasn't going to bother, and I thought, why not? It's only a bit of bitters and a tiny, tiny drizzle of sugar in there. And do you know what? It's really surprised me. Can't say as I've ever had a white rum fashioned. White rum fashioned? White rum fashioned. Whatever. Yeah, it's really surprised me. I would quite happily drink that and finish that. I really, really like that. It's bringing out more of the kind of, because of the bitters, more of the oak vibes in there, and not so much of the tropical fruit, but the vanilla brings out the vanilla. Really, really delicious. And again, the rum punch, the final cocktail, just mentioned it's lime juice, honey, strawberry puree, the rum of choice, passion fruit, and then bitters in there, just normal aromatic bitters in there. Typical rum punch. Again, this is actually kind of pleasant. For me, actually, it's a better rum for a rum punch than the Plantation XO, and it's half the price. I still prefer the dark rums in a rum punch, but this is pretty damn decent. I really like this. I would quite happily finish that off. And do you know what? If in the same way that the DAC has to be an excellent, I think that has to be an excellent rum punch. I think some of those dark rums would also be a very high excellent. I think this is a very low excellent, but it's still better than very good in that grand scheme of things. So yeah, I really like that. I would totally buy that rum for all of those. Cross purposes, I really do. I don't want to pigeonhole it in any category. I think it's a neat sipper. Bizarrely, as I say, should white rums be classed as neat sippers? I think they should. Definitely a rum and coke, definitely ginger, definitely a daiquiri, definitely rum fashioned, and definitely a rum punch rum. Really an all-rounder. So to sum up, would I buy it again? I think you know my viewpoints on this already. Hell yes, I would totally buy that again. Value for money, £23. Buying deals for trade is a lot cheaper than that, I can promise you. Other rums that are similar that I would buy. Now, I just want to clarify this very, very quickly. I don't want to go on too long, but very, very quickly. As far as white rums go, there's a lot of us, especially in my membership community, we've been down this white rum journey. It's really opened our eyes up to all the different types of white rums out there. As I mentioned, this is not my all-star white rum, but this is very definitely in the next category down. And there's only one rum in my top category, and that is the Ron Cube Carta Blanca. I flipping well love that. That is just my cup of tea for a daiquiri. I haven't really, I need to do that as a tasting actually, to do the sort of rum fashioned and the punch as well, but definitely as a daiquiri, and I'm judging this on daiquiris alone. That is my all-star, it has to be. But love that. That's the next category down, and for me it sits alongside the Montana Platino, so Colorado US rum. I adore those two as daiquiris, really, really do. The next category down for me is then kind of like the best of the rest. The Flor de Carnia, I do firmly believe is brilliant, is excellent, but not quite as good as Plantation 3 stars. The Dorleys, again, it's a very different vibe to the Flor de Carnia, but it's definitely not better than Flor de Carnia, and definitely not as good as that. The Signature Blend, again, is a bit lower down. I'm not going to get onto the English one, the Two Drifters. I need to have a proper good taste of that again. And there's one more that I've missed, and I've completely forgotten, the El Dorado. I think that's it. Sorry, the Kingston 62. Kingston 62 and the El Dorado are the next rung down after that. So at the top, it's definitely Ron Cube for me. But, I mean, that is an absolute belter.